Captain Tommy Scoble, and you are on the lifeboat. So, general housekeeping. Had a really good day yesterday for the boat. For those of you who haven't noticed, we picked up a lot of new crew members, and I mean a lot. So, when I was talking about this the other day, and I was telling some people that I was planning on going on a channel to do an interview, I said, it's funny how it works, but the math always works out. That let's say you go on a channel and you get 100,000 views on the video that you do. Well, then you're going to pick up about 1,000 subscribers, right? For every 100,000, you get about 1%. 1% tends to be 1% of the audience that sees you is going to end up hitting subscribe. Bizarre, right? Because it doesn't much matter if your personality is way different than someone else's personality, or depending on how much time you get on there or anything else. You're looking at 1% to 1.5%, which is just, I don't know, it always works out. And I told somebody that the other day, and they seem to think that I may be surprised. I said that I'll be really surprised if it's anything other than about 1%, because it just seems to be how it works out every time. And we started out really hot yesterday. Like in the first 6,000 views, we had like 200 people that had subscribed to the lifeboat, which was, I'm doing the math. I'm like, if that keeps up. But currently, I think that video is closing in on the 40,000 view mark, and we got about 400 subscribers. So it's doing pretty much exactly what I anticipated that it would do. But very, very excited that people are coming over. I could not be any more proud of everybody on the lifeboat and the way they treated the new people who came last night to the videos. I know that she absolutely can't stand having any kind of praise heaped on her, and I don't care. Full of hope. Last night was just the most welcoming and supporting person on the boat. That about every 15 minutes, she bought 5 new memberships. So all of these people that had just got there and instantly become members, and the number of emails I got from people that just said, wow, I've never been any place where people were nicer. And you know what that does right here, honestly? Like that's what makes the lifeboat what it is. It's what I brag about when I brag about the lifeboat. That's what I brag about. And you all were fantastic last night. Full of hope. Thank you so much. And I know you don't want the credit, blah, 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 but thank you. It was absolutely incredible. It really was. So there have been somewhere in the ballpark of about 500 or 600 or something comments over there, which is really kind of bizarre too. An awful lot of comments came in on that particular video. The vast majority of those comments were pretty kind, especially when you consider the subject matter. When you have somebody come on and talk about the prison system, no matter what you do, you're going to have people looking at that and going, this guy's a piece of crap and a convict. And that's the reality. We talk about it all the time on the lifeboat. You're not going to be able to outrun your past. There are going to be some people who, for the rest of time, are just going to say, he was a convict. He is a convict. He committed crime ipso facto. He will always be a criminal. It is what it is. And I bring this up for one reason. I'm going through and I'm seeing if any of the comments are talking about how they need help for drugs or whatever, because I'd like to call those people, leave them a comment and say, hey, get over to the lifeboat or send me an email because I would be happy to speak to you one-on-one, blah, 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 right? So there was a comment from one person that said something along the lines of, man, this guy did 13 years in prison. He sounds more like a genius than a convict. That's not it. He sounds more like a Rhodes Scholar than he does a convict. And there was one individual who took very serious unction, right? Or umbrage. They were not particularly happy with that comment. I'm no Rhodes Scholar, people, but this person said, he doesn't look like a Rhodes Scholar. He looks like a friggin' thug. And, your first reaction when people don't want to give you a new shot, right, at life is to arch your back a little bit. And I wanted to fire off some kind of a mean, comment back. The truth of the matter is, I got to remember that I didn't go on that channel to talk about rehabilitation. I didn't go on that channel to talk about redemption, right? I went on that channel to give them a bird's eye view of what life is like inside of a penitentiary. It's difficult to do that and not at some level slide back mentally into the mindset that you were in when you were doing time. And if I rewatch the video, it makes me a little uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I don't take joy in people getting hurt. I'll be really honest with you. If someone has to get hurt, I hope it's somebody that raped someone or abused a woman or a child. Honestly, if someone's going to get hurt, I want it to be that person. But I can see where if you watched that video, you might think that I'm taking serious joy in what's going to happen to this guy. And there's something to that. Honestly, there is something to that. So anyway, this person leaves a really ugly kind of comment about me. And then somebody from the lifeboat, who shall remain anonymous, left a comment that said, Tommy paid for me to get into medical assisted treatment and it saved my life. So if you're hearing me, please remove that comment. One of the deals that we have is this. If we get you into medical assisted treatment, you're never allowed to say, hey, they paid for me to get into medical assisted treatment. You're not allowed to say it here in the comments section. You're not allowed to say it somewhere else. And there are good reasons behind that if you think about it, right? You have to get to know us on the boat. I just don't want to hang a shingle out like that. And I didn't do anything. The lifeboat paid for you to get on medical assisted treatment. I didn't. Donations from people on the boat. Admittedly, in the first season, a lot of it was my money, but this is the second season and donations have been taking care of this. Yeah, Ultra Maggot's right. And it is frustrating because here's what it comes down to. I could win the Nobel Peace Prize, right? I could figure out a way to make peace happen between the Russians, and there's nothing that I could do that is going to erase my past. And the thing that's frustrating is this. Do you know how easy I could hide from it? I mean, honestly, do you have any idea how easy I could hide from my past? I'm one of those cats that if you put a shirt and a tie on me and I church up my language a little bit, you would never know that I'm a convict, right? I am very open and honest about where I've been and what I've done because I want it to be one of those situations where people say, you know what, if this guy can do it, then I can do it. I mean, that's kind of the basis of what I've built the second half of my life on. But I completely understand why people on the boat are frustrated by people that, and I appreciate the fact that somebody wanted to come to my defense. I really appreciate that. I do. It warms my heart, but I don't want that comment up and out there. So if it's you, please remove it. Good to see you, Jennifer Rice. It's not Jennifer Rice, but it's good to see you anyway. I'll be able to start contracting in about 4 to 5 weeks once I get my license number. Good for you, man. Way to go. So the number of emails I got last night from people who watched the video and really kind of dug the content. Here's something that we're going to have to look at here going forward, people. A couple of things. Number one, if you happen to wield a wrench, you have been on easy street for a very long time, because as a wrench on the lifeboat, I mean, we don't get a lot of visitors, right? When you bring in 400 new subscribers, and that's at about half of what this guy does in terms of views per video. So there's a decent chance that's going to double, right? Or at least get considerably bigger. There are going to be jackwagons in that crew. There's going to be some people that just don't mesh with the lifeboat, which means that the wrenches are going to have to be on their A game, and be on the lookout for people that want to be jackasses, because that's the reality. So we do have the best wrenches in the business. You guys got to train early on some really serious haters. So you've got some excellent experience in the game, but that is going to be a reality. One of the other realities is this: of the people that came over here, there are a lot of them that came over here because they're in recovery and they would like to see what it is we do and how we help people within that framework. Right? That's why a lot of people came over here. A lot of other people came over here because they think I'm a good storyteller, right? And which is nice. I like that. It's better than having somebody say, "Boy, you tell a terrible story," right? But it doesn't necessarily fall into Brandon Calloway. Good to see you, brother. That's right. You can't change the past, but you can change your future. Damn right. Great comment too. And you can't change how people are going to view your past or how they're going to view you in the future. All of that falls under the 5% that you cannot control. So what you have is the 95%. So as I said, when I first saw this comment, I wanted to say to the person, hey, you know what? Piss up a rope. You know, how many people have you helped to get sober? How much of your money? And I thought, good Lord, what the hell is wrong with you? So I thanked the person for watching the video and I thanked them for their honesty. And I said, I completely get why you would think I'm still a thug. I hurt a lot of people in the 30 years that I was doing dope, right? There were a lot of lives that I affected. And I can't do anything about that other than accept responsibility for it. And then live my life in such a way that I will not hurt anyone else going forward. And not trying to like pat the hell out of my own back, but I think I've gone just a bit above trying to live my life to not hurt anybody else, right? I've lived my life in such a way to try to help people that I will never meet, to try to help people who are in other countries because I know what it feels like to have your life unravel because of a substance. So I don't want pats on the back. I really don't. I love all of you. I love that you guys care about me. That's a big thing to me. It really is. It's a huge thing to me. How I'm viewed outside the boat, I don't care. It's and when you put yourself out there, when you choose to do interviews and things on other shows, right? You are really putting yourself out there to an audience that does not. They don't love me, right? They don't know me. Here on the lifeboat, you guys have been through a lot with me, right? You guys have been here, especially the old timers, right? You guys have been through so much. You know, it's funny too. If I don't say this, I'll forget it. So I'm gonna squirrel off for a second. So I got up at about 4 a.m. It's okay to pat yourself on the back every once in a while. Thanks, Ultra Maggot. So I got up at about 4 a.m. to get a thumbnail ready and get ready for the show. And I just had a ton of emails and a ton of comments. So I was trying to go through and answer the ones that looked like, that they were super important, right? And I came across one from someone that said, I'm a huge fan of your brother, of my brother Johnny. And he's been on the bus for an eternity, right? Like he's been watching Johnny since the early days. He said, and I have been watching the lifeboat since your first video. So been a really long time subscriber. I have seen every one of your videos. I don't comment and I don't really get into the live chat. I just don't do that, but I've never missed one of your videos. Right. So yeah, you put the mouse over the person's name and you hover and it will tell you how long they've been on the lifeboat. So this cat hit subscribe yesterday. And and I think it's just funny as hell. He's watched do you realize if you turned on every single video that we have filmed on the lifeboat, it would take you 39 days to watch. And that is if you did not turn it off and you didn't go to the bathroom and you didn't eat or whatever. We got 39 days of 24-hour-a-day shows here on the boat. So it just cracked me up. It really did. It made me laugh. There are two things you can always tell. When somebody refers to my brother as John instead of Johnny, they don't know him. And they'll say things like, yeah, John and I go way back. No, they don't. And then people who say, I've watched every one of your videos. I haven't watched every one of my brother's videos, right? Like to watch there are some people that have seen every single lifeboat, but it is really, really a rare thing. I can't sleep. By this point, I don't think I can go try to sleep. I normally am not up at this time in the morning, but it's nice to catch a show. Mr. Ray Ray, this to me is exactly like jet lag. I know Full of Hope has done this because she's flown all over the world and we've talked about it. But let's say I go from here to Australia, right? It's going to become the next day. Good morning, everybody, and Tommy. It's great to be sober today. It's great to be sober today, James. I agree with you. So when you get where you're going, it's the following day, and your internal clock, right, is so jacked up, your circadian calendar or whatever they call the thing, circadian rhythm. So your body's telling you it's a completely different time than it is. So what do? Most people get there and they lay down, right, and they're gonna pass out. You're going to wake up in the middle of the night when everybody else in the country is sound asleep, right? And it's going to take you days to get on. So what you do is you fight it. You stay up long enough to go to sleep with everybody else in that country, right? Pound some caffeine, do whatever you got to do to make sure that you make it until bedtime tonight. And if you do, you're going to start to get on that routine where you're sleeping when other people are sleeping and you're up when other people aren't. And that's going to be a better thing for sobriety. It's going to be a better thing for life. I was the king of really, really unusual hours for a very long time, where I got up at about 2:00 in the afternoon. That was pretty standard operating procedure for a lot of time in my life. Yesterday, I had to go get allergy meds. My eyes were all swelled up from allergies. This is a tough time of year, V. They're really bad time of year for allergies. I'm going through it. You guys could probably hear my voice too, although a lot of that is from I don't know how much I filmed in the last couple of days. Now, I'm going to talk about something else here on the boat, and I'm probably only talking to about one person. But nevertheless, I'm going to do this because So I've been suffering from migraines, and everybody knows this. And the migraines are caused by TMI, traumatic brain injury. I had too many concussions where I hit the back of my head. The brain goes back in all of that liquid and then comes forward and bounces off of the front of your skull when there's no liquid there. It's called a counter-coup injury. I could snort lines of pollen and not even sneeze. Wow. That's crazy. I'm a sneezer. The inside of my eyeballs were swelled up. Oh, that sounds awful. Yeah, that really, really sounds awful. So anyway, the counter-coup injury. The brain goes back and then it comes and hits the front. So that's where my dead spot is, right? The infarction is in the front. And this has been what has been causing my headaches. It has also been causing some memory issues and some coordination problems. And it's actually been a whole host of crap that's not particularly pleasant. There have been theories over the years that there are people who if they damage one part of their brain, another part of their brain kind of takes over for what the damaged part does. And there's some science to back up that this has happened in some individuals. Pretty famous case of a guy that broke his spine and was able to walk out using canes, but he was able to walk out and there's nothing connected. There is no, it makes no sense. There's no nothing sending the impulse to tell him to do this, right? That line, that phone line is cut. Yet the message is getting to the other side. It's when the brain starts to pick up the slack for the damaged part of the brain. And I don't know if that's what's going on in my life. It has been theorized that could be a possibility. But what I can tell you is this. I do not have migraines right now, which is really a blessing. I need to sleep more than I'm sleeping. And it's not because of the boat. It's because of my particular schedule, and that's on me, and I'm going to take that sleep. I am going to absolutely, I'm going to start working my days to where I'm sleeping about 10 hours of them. I also need to cut down on looking at screens. Now, one of the things that you all can't see right now is that this screen is jet black. Like what I'm looking at right now is no longer lit up. It is jet black. And the your comments are in this really kind of subdued, it's not a regular white. It's almost like an eggshell. And it's much easier on the eyes. And you're also blown up about this big, right? So normally I'm looking at myself, right? You've seen how this works. I'm looking at myself in a little window, and then I've got the comments. I can't see myself at all, right? I have no ability to see where I'm at. All I have, good morning, Annette. All I have is the ability to see your comments, and I mean big as hell see your comments. Sorry, man. My nose is just running like a faucet. It is Thursday. Is it really Thursday? Are you saying I look better, full of hope? Well, that was a nice thing to say. And Scoob seems to agree with you. I'll be really honest, man. I feel better. I only get about 6 hours of sleep on the weekdays, 8 to 10 on weekends. 8 to 10 is good. 8 to 10 is good. Well, thank you, full of hope. I really appreciate that. Challenging the notion you can't spit shine a convict. So what I was trying to get to earlier before I had to squirrel off because I didn't want to forget what I was talking about. But so half of the audience are people that want to get sober, and the other half of the audience are people that just want to hear me tell stories. And in the early days of the lifeboat, I told a crap load of stories, and the problem is if you say to somebody, go back and watch the old stuff, number one, they won't. I mean, a very small segment might, but the vast majority are not going to do that. So I'm probably going to be doing some content for the next couple of weeks anyway, where I rehash some of the stuff that you people on the boat have already heard. I've done 950 videos. When you do 950 videos, there's a good chance I've covered most of the really big stories that have affected my life. Truth be told, there are hundreds and hundreds of stories that I haven't told because they're either, I don't think that they're content. I don't think they're things that should be shared with the world. Or they're deeply personal and they're just too personal. And every once in a while, something will hit me and I will decide to let one of those really personal stories out. But we're going to see how it is going forward. But I am absolutely going to cater, so to speak, a little bit to the new people coming in. And for good reason, right? Most people, I'm praying for you too, Scoob. I am praying for you too. And just know that I'll be in touch, Scoob. Okay? And I'll be praying. I think it's important to realize that for a lot of people on the boat, they were here. Hey, Snotface. Good to see you. I think that is so funny, man. It is excellent to see you, Snotface. Wait 1 second. Snotface. In that emoji, you look like you're standing with Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Is that possible? Holy hell. Wait a second here. Wait 1 hot second, Snotface. That does look remarkably like Alice from Alice in Wonderland. You would have no way of knowing this because you're new to the boat, but I got a thing about Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Oh, Lord, that is Alice. Is that at Disney? Disney World. Okay, yeah. So this entire sleeve, which you probably couldn't really see, and I can't see now either because I'm not on there, but this is all Alice in Wonderland stuff. See, that would be the Cheshire Cat, and up here would be the White Rabbit, and I've got the Mad Hatter kind of on the inside of the bicep. So I have the number of books I have that are Lewis Carroll, Charles Ludwig Dodson, the guy that wrote Alice in Wonderland. My Alice in Wonderland collection is probably one of the biggest on planet Earth. It's very, very good size. Tell me you don't love having the ability to say, hey, man, great to see you, snot face. Hope you're having a good day, snot face. It's just not something that you get to say in polite company, right? You kind of feel like if you're saying that, maybe you're doing something wrong. M. Hunt, do what you do, my brother. Boy, you're going to be busy. Annette says, down the rabbit hole, curiouser and curiouser. There is literally not a day that goes by where there's not an Alice in Wonderland reference made on every single major news channel. They will say something that is directly out of the book. He really did affect modern culture, both then and now, and always will. Alice is just a really great thing. I have a picture on my Facebook of an Alice in Wonderland cake, says Mrs. V. You people may not believe this, but in my collection, I have a driver's license, an ID from back east, where a guy said to me, I was a freshman in college. He said, hey, I got a girl I would like to set you up with. I said, what, like on a date? He said, yeah. I said, why would I want you to set me up on a date? I'm like, is this girl ridiculously attractive? He said, no, not really. I said, then you lost me. Why would I? He's like, man, just meet the girl. And I said, okay. So the girl comes over, and she was not unattractive, but she was, she didn't jump off the page as my type or anything like that. But so I got to meet her, and I said, he just really thought the two of us, I guess, would hit it off, And I introduced myself by my nickname, because at that point, nobody called me, by my real name. And she said, I'm Alice. I said, oh, maybe it was an Alice thing, because I kind of have this Alice in Wonderland thing going on, where I've been a huge fan and kind of a collector. And she said, my last name is Land. I said, your name is Allison Land. She said, yes. I said, please tell me your parents made your middle name Wonder. And she took out her driver's license and put it on the table at the quad where we were sitting. And I picked it up and said, I'm afraid I can never give this back to you. I will be happy to pay for you to get a new ID, but I am keeping this, because no one will ever believe that I met an Alice in Wonderland. But I most assuredly really did meet an Alice in Wonderland. I think this budgeting and not eating properly is messing with my mental disorders. Of course it is. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. It is important that you get enough calories every day, Scoob. And that says food is fuel. It really is. And the brain makes up very, very little. Best name ever, Snotface. I agree. The brain weighs very little, right? If you compare it to the bones, you compare it to the muscles, you compare it to anything else in the body, it is really a very small part, but it takes almost all of the calories, right? More than half of every calorie that you put into your body goes directly to your brain. So if you're not getting calories to the brain, then you're absolutely going to be struggling. Scoob, I will reach out to you today. We need to figure something out. Okay? We will figure something out. Ultra Maggot, that is a pretty funny story, isn't it? We didn't spend a tremendous amount of time together, but I did arrange a trip to the Department of Motor Vehicles so she could get another identification card. And that was just one of those things. And I had a child, and Cedar. I so badly wanted to name Cedar Alice, but the woman I was married to was having none of it. Was having absolutely none of it. I've been surviving mostly on water. Well, I have done some really, really long fasts in my life. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean that they're good for you. I did it. I used to do like mini fasting. There was a way I did to lose about 100 pounds. I was over 100 pounds, 80 pounds. I was 80 pounds overweight once. 22 watching and 15 likes. Hit the like button, fam. Tommy would appreciate it a lot. Blake Richardson nailed that. I really would appreciate if you hit the like button, share, do all of that thing. M. Hunt says, Scooby, you're not a plant. And he makes a really good point. Scoob is not living on water by choice, Beep. Scoob, just reach out to me, all right? I will, well, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Stop leaving comments. Just take a deep breath, and I will reach out to you as soon as I am off the boat, all right? So about 30 minutes, Scoob. Just keep your head in there, all right? 30 minutes. It's okay. I promise you, Scoob, it's going to be all right. Okay? Have I ever told you something was going to be all right, Scoob, and didn't come through? It's going to be all right. Take a deep breath. That's why I still buy bulk ramen, etc., because food is so expensive. Food is really expensive, and it's a really good idea to have something as a backup. I make like 3 different types of salads that I like each week because I need to grab and go. It works. You know what? There are a lot of people that sort of live on certain staples. Like when I was incarcerated, I lived, and I am not exaggerating on this, I lived on mackerel, right? The fish. I lived on mackerel that came like you would get a can of tuna. Well, you can't have a can in prison for obvious reasons, because we could make a weapon out of a can that you wouldn't believe. So you get it in this little like foil pouch, but I probably ate 4 or 5 of those pouches a day because there was so much protein in it. And you learn to like it after a while. I didn't like it in the beginning, but I've never been this bad since I was anorexic. Scoob, take a deep breath, right? Yeah, Blake says he wishes he could give you a big hug. Well, Scoob, just take a deep breath, right? And relax. Work on your breathing. You got 29 more minutes. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to talk to you, and we're going to get this taken care of. I'm not going to let you down, Scoob. I promise you we're going to come up with a solution. So just take a deep breath. All right? Food is very expensive. I probably spent about $800 a month on groceries. My goodness. That sounds like something that Cemetery would have said. But I am buying groceries for me and my wife and 3 toddlers. My 3 toddlers eat like NFL linebackers. That is funny. That is funny. I'll tell you, people, squirrel. So if you're new to the lifeboat, we have a cabin cat that is usually here on every show. Squirrel is angry because people are touring the house, right? So I got to jump out of here and run out of the house about 3 or 4 times a day, and strangers come in, and Squirrel is not happy with me. Last night, she slept on the bed, but would not get anywhere near me. She was at the foot of the bed on the far left corner. Squirrel's angry. This morning, she refused the basket. I know, V. I feel the same way. I feel really bad for Squirrel. And then once this all gets packed up, Squirrel has to go on a road trip for 14 hours. She's going to be a very happy kitty. But when we get where we're going, it's going to be a much larger place for her to run around in, which is going to be nice. Squirrel's going to have the run of the joint. And we sit on a decent amount of land, so she can probably go outside and at least play a little bit. Food prices are no joke. Chicken is killing me with feeding my pets. Snot Face has nailed it. It's gotten crazy. Everything. Yes, I have already bought a house in Arizona, V. I bought a house in Arizona about, I guess, almost a month ago. And when we bought it, the people that were in it asked if they could rent it until the last week in June. And we said, sure. We rented it back to them because they didn't have the ability to get to their new place until the last week in June. So we're coming up on my sobriety date here really quickly, and be the 8-year mark. It's hard to believe. 8 years sober. So back to this unbelievable, back and forth thing that has become this show. Bidenflation has wrecked America. I'm not gonna argue that point. I really am not going to argue that point. Snotface says, yay, that's amazing. Yeah, it really is. 8 years. by the grace of God and a lot of help from some really good people. Uh, yeah, and I'll tell you something, you guys are going to love it. The, the lifeboat really has, this is the most important part of my life. It really is. Uh, it really has just become kind of, the centerpiece of my existence is the lifeboat. So when I was looking at places to live, it sounds almost crazy, but I kind of was looking at every property in terms of, how easy would it be to film there, and how cool would it be to film there, and this is one of those. When you see the property, it's just going to be a very cool place to do YouTube out of. It's going to be a very, very cool place to do YouTube. Yeah, food security in this country, unfortunately, is a problem for a lot of people, including me, but there's a lot of help out there that can help. So if you're suffering, you shouldn't suffer. Yeah, Scooby, it helps regulate my appetite, not just increase it. Sativa did push my hunger, though. Vivian P. I am keeping a pair of shoes with me at all times. Just going to get up and walk. Just get up and walk. If I find myself struggling, then I get out of the place that I'm in. Getting up and walking is a fantastic thing. Vivian, I haven't seen you in a very, very long time. It's a pleasure to see you. I only came on for my first live yesterday, and it was so great that I couldn't wait to come back this morning. Thinking about the chat on my drive home last night helped me go home, not get booze. What a great comment. I am so glad that the crew could help you. I think that is absolutely awesome. M. Hunt says, Vivian, not all who wander are lost. And there is a lot of truth to that. Vivian P., I'm really glad that you're here. I'm glad that you made your way back to the boat. That's great. Yeah, well, hospitals in general tend to suck, Scoob. Yeah, that really is very cool, Snotface. The concept of the lifeboat is that when like-minded individuals get together and they are all pulling in the same direction, that really good things happen, right? And one of those good things is getting through those really brief periods of time where you feel like you're going to mess up. And that's a perfect example right there. You leave work, and on your way home, it is a established behavior, right? I know people that for 25 or 30 years, they put the keys in the car, they drove out of the factory that they worked at, and they stopped at the first bar, they went and put their butt on the seat, drank 4 or 5 drinks and then went home. And that becomes such an ingrained part of who you are that just driving by that becomes a very, very difficult thing to do. And when you start to break that, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to get by that. And once you start to develop a better habit, like clockwork, don't even realize when I'm driving. Yeah, no, that's exactly how it is. And it's like that with everything that you do that's habitual, right? So science tells us that 80% of every single thing that we do is habitual. Think about that. 80% of everything we do, we're just doing again. It's just repeating the habits of brushing your teeth, using the bathroom, the way we do just about everything in life. So knowing that our brain looks for that, our brain craves patterns and craves that we do the same thing over and over and over again, right? Loves that. So we have to break the cycles. I always went to the gas station on the way home for a case or a 12. You really have to. Wanders are wanderers. I like it. It's getting out of control. So I got to do something. Not getting stuff done. Health issues now, expensive, etc. I'm just hiding behind it, and it's going nowhere fast. Vivian, if you want to get personal in the comment section, I'd love to know exactly what you're struggling with. If you're not comfortable doing that, reach out to me and send me an email at sober at myyahoo.com. That's not Yahoo. That's my Yahoo, right? Sober at myyahoo.com. And Vivian, I know that things have got to be bad because I know you don't love me much. You know what I mean? I know that you're not my biggest fan. So the fact that you're back here is probably means that, but the people here on this boat are great people, whether you like me or not. The crew here is fantastic. If you reach out to me and you tell me exactly where, what substance we're talking about, thank you, Charlie. Then we can, there are some things that I might be able to do to help the situation, or at least point you in the right direction for help. You wait in the waiting room half a day. Yeah, hospitals are really bad that way. Miss V. Yep. I love it. The two of you are good wrenches, right? Mr. and Mrs. Goodwrench. I like it. So I am going to be, I'm writing that email. Thanks. Thank you, Vivian. I really appreciate you, coming back over. So, and I will answer that email. I promise you. If you're new to the boat, I do answer my emails, virtually every single email. Sometimes if your email is saying, I love the boat and the crew is fantastic and giving me the thumbs up, it's probably not going to get answered as fast as the people that are reaching out for help. You kind of got to triage and list these things in terms of importance. Yeah, you know what? I would listen to, well, that's not Jennifer, but that's Jennifer's man. And I would listen to Very, Very Educated Cat. Love Within, 1 year and 7 months off cigs. Thankful I could get out. Very, very difficult thing to quit. The science behind cigarettes is absolutely amazing, right? So cigarettes react on dopamine, right? And very, very little else. Like a lot of drugs, we always say, well, it's a dopamine hit. We use that term for everything, but there's also going to be oxytocin. There's going to be a whole bunch of neurotransmitters that get flipped when you do heroin or you do cocaine or you do whatever. When you smoke cigarettes, what it is doing is affecting your dopamine and nothing else. But what it is doing is it affects it in, literally a half a second. And the way that they use the illustration for this is they say, whatever your baseline is, right? That first hit of nicotine is baseline times 2. So you're getting twice the amount of dopamine that you would normally get. And because the delivery system is like that, well, we tend to use it when we get stressed out. We tend to use it when we get happy. We tend to use it right after a meal. We tend to use it, and it becomes so habitual that people can't go to the bathroom without a cigarette. People don't want to have sex without a cigarette. It just becomes so ingrained. So for you to be at 1 year and 7 months, 19 months is a hell of a long time. It really is. ERs are like gunshot wounds. Can you please fill out this paperwork? That I've been very blessed in that when, like I went in there a couple of times with some very serious things going on, and they didn't worry too much about the paperwork. But I think that where I'm at, they tend to be fairly decent hospitals. Thank you, Love Within. I can't begin to tell you how much I root for people. So you may not have seen this before, but this is the official Lifeboat Participation Trophy. Started out as a joke about 1 year and 3/4 ago, where somebody said, you really ought to have a participation trophy for those people that are doing the right thing. And so here we are, 1 year and 3/4 later. This is for you, Love Within. That is impressive as hell. Make no mistake, I have worked with so many people who decide, you know what? Yeah, I was hanging out with a friend and I thought, you know what? I would just try one. This is something that is such a difficult concept for people to understand, but I promise you, this is a stone cold fact. Okay. So you were addicted to cigarettes, right? Annette, you need to. And, reach out. There are things that you can do to quit. Smoking is a tough thing. Um, Thanks, Dennis. I appreciate that. So you're addicted to cigarettes. You're addicted to nicotine. It is a addictive substance. Okay. So when you stop using, you would think that the addiction in there goes like this. It stops working. It's not what happens. So think of it in terms of you lock your addiction in a room. When you leave, the addiction is no longer out and about to do whatever it wants in the brain. It is locked away in a room, right? You know what it's doing in that room? Pumping iron. It's doing push ups, right? It is doing all kinds of getting yoked up. So, what's going to happen is if you let that addiction back out of your closet, it is not going to look the same as it did when you locked it up. So I have not used opiates in 8 years this month. If I let it back out of the closet, if I allowed myself to use opiates, I wouldn't be where I was when I stopped. I would be here. I would be so much further along. I wouldn't have a 7 gram a day habit. I'd probably have a 10 gram a day habit because the addictions continue to grow even if you don't feed them. I know that's a difficult concept to wrap your head around. It is a stone cold fact. That doesn't mean the first day I relapsed, I could do 10 grams. Of course, that would kill me. But in a very short period of time, I would be directly back to where I was, plus how far my addiction has grown while I have not been using. I think that that's a great idea, M. Hunt. He says, when I'm able to grow as many cannabis plants as I want, I'm going to quit smoking it at all and strictly take edibles or oils or tinctures. Smoke isn't a good thing. You know what I mean? It is a very quick delivery system. So faster than a needle, believe it or not. Nothing gets open to the system quicker than the lungs. Nothing. Smoke is the fastest delivery system, but it's bad for you. Full of Hope says, yes, I learned that in rehab. I'm glad that you can back me up on this, Full of Hope, because it is an absolute fact. Love Within says, wow, great info and important to remember. Thank you again. Yeah, no problem at all. But that is the truth. If you were a 2-pack a day smoker when you quit, when you come back, if you make that mistake, don't think you'll be a 2-pack a day smoker. You will be far past that. M. Hunt says, no smoke is good. And he's absolutely right. No smoke is good. Now, there is a decent amount of science that says that there are certain smokes that are less damaging for you. And I don't mean certain like brands of cigarettes. When I say smokes, I mean the smoke generated from the burning of weed is different than the smoke generated from the burning of heroin or the burning of cocaine or the burning of tobacco. Some are worse than others. I'll be honest with you. One of the ones that really is terrifying is the cocaine. When because of how it is made into a smokable form of the substance. If anybody here has smoked crack and you made it yourself, it's just baking soda, water, and cocaine, right? There's no real recipe to it. However, let's say you start with a gram of cocaine and you start to cook this up, right? You're going to end up with less than a gram, right? That's just the way it works. So over the years, people have found out that you can use something along with the baking soda, right? As a bonding agent or a cut. And they use some really funky stuff with the goal of taking 1 gram of product, cooking it and getting 1.5 grams of rock, because obviously that's going to make you a lot more money. But the stuff that you're smoking, it's really dangerous. You have no idea what you're putting into your system. Snotface, I really appreciate that. We do not preach here. We do not judge anybody. People who are still using, everybody has to come to the realization that they want to quit. If they're not there yet, that doesn't mean we don't want them around. And I'll be honest, I have judged people on this channel a couple of times, right? We had a very odd day one time where a guy was talking about domestic violence, and he said, if a woman hits you, you can hit her back, and that really caused a whole bunch of us to get pretty angry and pretty judgmental. But in terms of dope, I mean, I got no right to judge anybody on what they do or how they get the money for it. I mean, look, my past is an open book, and I did some pretty awful stuff when under the influence. So, but I'm glad that you're here, Snotface. I think that you're a great fit for the lifeboat. Every once in a while, and I shouldn't say every once in a while, very often you end up with somebody that hits the boat, and the second they do, they just sort of fit in, like instantly assimilate to the crew. And yeah, I think you're a great fit here. I smoked cigarettes for 20 years. I have quit cigarettes for 10 years. I think about smoking every day, but as soon as I smell cigarettes, it makes my lungs close up. I believe that. I believe that. I absolutely believe that. Yeah, we Snot-faced, bet you get a wrench real soon. Yeah. That is funny. That is really funny, full of hope. It is a great crew here. There is no two ways about it. We have an amazing crew of people here. When I first started the channel, I said I wanted people to realize that drug addicts, anybody with a substance abuse disorder, regardless of what the substance is, that they can be just as good as anybody else, right? You just have to eliminate the substance, and they can be just as good as anybody else, just as good a human being. And what I found, which blew me away, is that in many cases, the individuals who find their way into recovery and successfully quit, they're not just as good as everybody else. They're as good as everybody else, but they never forget where they've been. And it makes them the least judgmental people on the planet. It makes them the most compassionate people on the planet. If you've ever had to wake up and know that you can't get through the day without a substance, then when you see somebody walking on the side of the road with a sign, or you see somebody begging, it makes you think differently because of where you've been. Snotface says, edibles can be tricky, not as instant, but can be helpful if you find your dose. I started slow using them for insomnia. I'll tell you a story that's crazy. So once in the not so distant past, as a lot of you know, I vape, right? And I don't do it. It's not something I do all day, every day. I'll be really honest. I use it as a way to help me go to the bathroom, just to be straight, right? There's a lot of things I do to help with that. And nicotine is one in the morning. And I use a vape device for that. So in the not so distant past, I found one of those disposable vapes, and it didn't look anything like the stuff they sell in dispensaries, which I've always seen looking like a pen. They're round, right? They're cartridge-like. This thing was rectangle, and it was square. And if it was the non-menthol flavor, I wasn't going to throw this out. It was something that I would have held on to because, I pay for this stuff. So I picked it up and hit it, and it was a THC product, and it was just not the drug I remember. You know what I mean? Like it. As soon as I did it, I was like, oh, crap. For me, abstinence from all drugs and alcohol or any mind-altering substance is the only way. But like I said, that's for me. Ultra Maggot, I can't use either. I don't judge anyone who does. I don't. I am a big proponent of harm reduction. So if you were drinking 2/5 of bourbon a day, and were just an abusive person to yourself and to others and how you were living, and you have made the move to cannabis, I think that's a pretty good move, right? I think that of the two, I would certainly rather have people smoking weed than abusing themselves with alcohol It's easier on the body. I've never met anybody that smoked too much weed and punched their significant other in the face or abused their children. It tends to make people nicer and calmer. It's not for me, but I would never judge somebody because it's for them. Where I draw the line is if your coping mechanism, if you're miserable without it, right? If you couldn't get through a day without it, then I think that's probably an issue. But that's for every person to decide. Certainly not for me. Scoob, today is going to get better. Cannabis only becomes an issue when you tell me I'm not allowed to use it. Then it becomes an issue. For you, M. Hunt, I believe that's probably the truth. There are people for whom that is a different thing. Few people get into gunfights when stoned. I agree with that too, John Doe. In fact, that would make a decent t-shirt, but that is the truth. Full of Hope says, please leave a comment after the show and have a good day. Good morning, Dennis. I was just abusing my own body, relationships, and fiance with alcohol. Yeah, coping with it. Weed has never been an issue for me. Good. Fantastic. Like I said, you know, a lot of sobriety channels, a lot of people in the sobriety community preach complete abstinence or nothing else, right? That's the only road to success. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I am a person who I know that if I started to use weed, I would go from being the sober person I am to weed becoming my coping mechanism. So instead of all of the things that I do now to cope, right? That's how I felt when I just did it, Ultra Maggot. You know, I started feeling really, really weird. I didn't enjoy it at all. But even if I could enjoy it, if it became one of those situations where I get stressed out, I do a bong hit, or I get stressed out, I smoke a joint, it will just be a matter of time before that will work until it doesn't. And my brain will say, come on, man, what are we doing? Right? This should be heroin. Don't be stupid. And I would probably end up right back on it. I am not saying that is the case for anybody other than me. I am not in a position to answer for anybody other than me. You feel me? Every time I talk about my own experiences and nothing else. Smoking weed and punching people. I guess you haven't met my dad. He's the militant liberal. I'm sorry to hear that. Just because someone had a problem with something doesn't mean it should be illegal for me. That would be like saying 12-step programs should be illegal. I never said that weed should be illegal. Did I ever say that? I don't think I ever said that. Yeah, I don't remember ever saying that. Not in any of the shows that I've done. I am all for the legalization. I really am. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Lemmy. That's tough. He says nothing but Karens and Darrens on next door. Yeah, you know, if I am, this is it's really close to the end of the show to drop a comment like this, but I don't think cocaine should be illegal. I don't think that heroin should be illegal. I don't think that crystal meth should be illegal. When you make substances illegal, you create a black market that creates more victims than the drug itself. You create something that is now worth so much money that people are willing to kill or do anything else for it. And it really has become a real problem. It's the second largest budget in the U.S. And yeah, well, Ultra Maggot, you know, everything is a gateway to something. There are people who will argue that point. And you know what? I can't answer it. It was for me. And once again, I can only say what something is for me. And for me, it certainly was the first drug that I tried. And it certainly led me to a lot of other, it led me to a lot of other drugs, and fairly quickly. I agree with that. Annette says weed helps more people than alcohol ever did. I don't think alcohol ever helped anybody. That's an opinion. You do not have to agree with that opinion, but I don't think that alcohol does anything that is positive. I can't wait to see you all later this evening. My husband is away getting ready for deployment, but this is a great group to find in this situation. Thanks for the support and have a great day. prayers for your husband, Snotface, for his safety. And I saw Snotface and just assumed you were a guy. Now I feel guilty for calling a lady Snotface. Yeah, my perception is drugs don't grow in nature; they must be processed. Um, well, I certainly think that the things that grow in nature are. Did alcohol help Dylan? No, I don't think alcohol helped anyone. It's just my personal opinion. Miss V is right. You will always have this channel to support you, Snotface. No question. If you're new to the boat and you have it's a drop dead. I knew it was a Drop Dead Fred reference. I still think it's just funny to say out loud. If you're new to the boat, you have any questions, anything I didn't cover, or you just want to let us know personally a little bit more about your story that you don't want to drop for the entire world to read today and forever, you can reach out to me at, let's see which one of the, Charlie already did it, at sober@myyahoo.com. There is also a Facebook group page. If you go and ask to be let in, we usually get you in within about 6 to 8 hours. And it's just for all things sobriety and a way for people to meet one another and develop the ties to put together your 5 and everything else. We'll look at marijuana use. They made marijuana legalized in a lot of states, and now general marijuana use has gone down. Honestly, I can't comment to that. I have heard what you just said, and I have also heard the quote on the other side so I don't know the answer to that. And until I do, I wouldn't want to comment on it. I just don't think I care much one way or the other if the use of that is going up or down. I really don't. I just think that the prohibition on drugs has done absolutely nothing to benefit the world. And in places where they have decriminalized, or better yet, legalized the substances, the number of people who end up seriously, like full-on addiction, still ends up the same amount. It's always going to be somewhere between 3.5 and 5% of the population that use any substance is going to end up wildly affected by it. Then you're going to get about 30% or more who are using it in a way that they shouldn't, and they realize that, and then they end up quitting or stopping, like the guy that drinks too much in college but never becomes, a full-blown addict. It's yeah, from your lips to Rogan's ears, Snotface. That would just be fantastic. You can reach out to Mr. Rogan and tell him that I'm ready. That would just be fantastic. Anik Alexander, saw your interview with Aaron. That would be Aaron. Sorry, Smith Levin. Really great interview. Very informative. Thank you. Well, we're glad that you're here. Welcome to the lifeboat. I'm sorry that you got here right at the end of it. We try to not go too much over 1 hour. Stupidity and ignorance is a gateway drug and should be the only thing illegal. Yeah, I know that you have a very, very warm spot in your heart for cannabis, and I'm glad that it has helped you. I really I couldn't be any happier that it has helped you. It's not for everybody. It's one of those things that there are people who can't do every substance out there. There are individuals for whom, I know people, like I've told the story a million times on the boat. I know people that, wow, good for you, Lemmy. I know people that do blow every single New Year's and have for the entire time that I've known them. They do cocaine every single December 31st. Obviously, they don't have a problem with that substance, and I don't have a problem with them doing it. My problem has never been with any particular substance until fentanyl came along, right? Street fentanyl. I don't believe that there is a responsible way to be doing the fentanyl that's on the street today, because I don't think it's there to get people high. I think it's there to kill people. So that substance, I absolutely hate. And I feel almost a responsibility to do everything I can to not only educate people about it, but to almost go after it like it's a personal thing. As far as other drugs go, honestly, I don't care much. There are drugs that I think are worse than others. Fentanyl obviously would be the worst of them. I think alcohol would be the next. I think alcohol is one of the worst drugs on the planet. Every single time you use it, what it does inside your body is just awful. It is awful. It takes all of the water out of every cell of your body. It's just there's nothing good that happens from drinking booze. And that really is, I don't know what that is, man. Maybe I need to take that stuff fentanyl kills with the first hit. It does. It very often can take you off the planet on the very first hit. And the way it is being made right now, again, it's made to kill. They're not making this stuff so that people can get high. I've said this in a million videos. You're probably getting sick of me hearing it. But if you had a business and your business was to sell drugs to people and you made money because people bought drugs, what would you do if the drugs started killing your customers? You would cut it, right? You would back off. You would make the product weaker, right? Until you had a product that you continue to sell to people, get the money, and not kill anybody in the process. They're making it stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. It makes absolutely no sense from a drug dealing standpoint, from a business standpoint, from anything standpoint, unless they're just trying to kill people. Kombucha tea even has alcohol in it. I had no idea that had alcohol in it. That's amazing. I had absolutely no idea. Well, we hope that you do return then. It would be great to see you. It's 5 o'clock, so about 11 hours from right now. It will be 5 o'clock Pacific time. All right, peeps, we're going to wrap this one up. Anytime we there are subjects on the boat that always bring out a ton of comments and things that people are they have very serious opinions on, and the use or the legalization or the whatever of cannabis is something that, there are a lot of people for whom cannabis saved their lives, right? They used that substance to get off other substances. And for those people, obviously, that's going to hold a very dear spot in their heart. I try really hard to be subjective, even about things that are really near and dear to my heart. I think that my life was saved by Suboxone. There are people for whom that's not a good choice. There are people for whom that just doesn't get it done. But I have to, I try to do what I can to I never want to promote a drug. I really don't. I'm not against anybody doing anything. I just don't want to promote drug use on the channel. I think it kind of goes against what I'm trying to do on the boat. But I have absolutely nothing against cannabis or weed or anything like that. My phone keeps acting up, and I want to call my physical therapy to see I'll be late, and I think they're canceling today altogether from what I heard. Sorry that your phone is acting up, Scoob. Boy, if it wasn't for bad luck, right? I will be reaching out to you shortly. Got off taking all antidepressants for insomnia that were wrecking me to use edibles. I'm glad edibles are working for you, Snotface. I think that's great. All right, people. I will see all of you on the next lifeboat. All right. Be about 11 hours. Have a great day, people. Make it a great day, people. I'm out of here. If I can find the button. There we go.